a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And thanks for joining us on the show. Greatly appreciate you all that support the local economy by supporting the Consumer Quarterback Show and all of our expert contributors. Supporting the local economy is one of the key elements here that we like to talk about with the Consumer Quarterback Show, helping make you more street smart here on the program. And we've got a great lineup for you today. We've got Pinellas County Commissioner Chris Latvala in the house. We're going to talk about a lot of different aspects of the local economy, housing, beaches, Tampa Bay Rays, and more coming up with him. And also Mike Twitty in the house as well, Pinellas County Property Appraiser. So we've got this today lined up as a lot of Pinellas County representation and the local economics and things of that nature. So really excited about our conversation to be had here. I want to invite you all, and that's, yes, you, our audience, all of our stakeholders, everybody associated with the Consumer Quarterback Show, to our third Thursday event. We're hosting these events every month. Third Thursday is April 18th, 6 o'clock over at Brio Tuscan Grill, International Plaza Mall right here in Tampa, 2223 Northwest Shore Boulevard. Brio Tuscan Grill, the official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. It's our third Thursday event every month. Come on out and fellowship with us, spend some time, meet some of our radio show personalities, expert contributors, business owners, real estate agents, and more. Come out and network with us on Thursday, April 18th at Brio Tuscan Grill. And it's a awesome restaurant. They have a great atmosphere, very cool clientele, and staff there as well. Chef Oscar Ramirez cooking up all the good stuff in the back, fresh from scratch, Tuscan-inspired recipes. Salmon Fresca is one of the favorites there, most popular item. And also Joey, the general manager, he's been on the show as well. So make sure you let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. They offer free appetizer just for mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, we got a couple of hot listings here from the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty, 5642 Egrets Place. This one is in Newport Richey, beautiful property, Mediterranean Palace right here in Tampa Bay. It's a gated community. You have a great opportunity to own real estate right here in Newport Richey, 5642 Egrets Place, Newport Richey, 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 3,000 square foot home, quarter-acre lot. Elevator access inside the home as well, additional guest bathrooms. You have a gourmet kitchen, center island featuring a sink with a wine refrigerator, stainless steel appliances, granite countertop, and more. Beautiful property right here in Tampa Bay at 5642 Egrets Place, Newport Richey, gated community, high-end gated community. Beautiful pool, waterfall, surrounded by pavers, and you got multiple balconies on the property. 18522 Gulf Boulevard. Have you ever wanted to own your own beach property? Well, this is it. This is a beachfront listing from the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,000 square feet, beachfront condo in Indian Shores, Pinellas County. Beautiful property here. Granite countertops, mosaic backsplash, and it only has $250 a month in a community association fee. Super low fee. You can short-term rent this property. $1 million listing from the Platinum MVP team. And what I love most is you walk around your community pool, heated community pool, and you walk out onto the sugar sand beaches and dolphin-filled waters of Pinellas County. 18522 Gulf Boulevard, Unit F, Indian Shores, Florida. And you can see all of our listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
Yeah, I'm racing my class to those saving our ass overseas.
All right, we got Commissioner Chris Latvala in the house. Welcome in, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me. You have me thinking about the beach.
I know, right?
Instead of sitting here.
That's a nice one. There you go. Now we got to get that one sold. So we've got a lot on the agenda for today. Tampa Bay Rays, budget season, beaches, affordable housing is such a big issue, insurances. Where do you want to start, my friend?
Baseball season started recently, so we can start there.
Yeah, what's going on with the Rays? So the whole name change thing, it didn't catch wind, did it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is pretty much dead. For me, I'm fine with calling them the Tampa Bay Rays instead of the St. Pete Rays. I'm more concerned with the financial aspects and what it will look like to the taxpayers and how much of the bed tax dollars we'll have to devote to this project compared to other projects like the beaches and so forth.
Yeah. So where do we stand now? Is the old stadium going to be the stadium, or are they talking about a new stadium? Where do we?
Yeah, it'll be. what the proposal is a new stadium that'll be right next to the old stadium, and the old stadium will be torn down and it'll be part of the development. The county's portion will be roughly $300 million in bed tax dollars. Some of that will be bonded. How much remains to be seen. And then the city portion will be $300 million. But then some other infrastructure costs on top of that, and then some development around the stadium.
Yeah.
So the city's the city part of the deal is a lot more complicated than the county's portion. I'm just, being on the county commission, I'm just concerned with our county tax payers and what our commitment will be from the bed tax. And I'm not going to be in favor of doing anything additionally on top of the bed tax, and that will be a no-go. And it's never been been on the table to do anything in addition to the bed tax. Yeah.
Do you get the feeling that your constituents are taxed enough already? They're at the point where they don't really want to add much?
Absolutely. And we're getting ready to start our budget season in the next month or so, and that'll be a couple-month process. And last year was not a fun time during the budget. I think this year will be better. But it is a process, and last year the millage rate was kept the same, but in return, our sheriff's deputies got a pay raise, which was very important to the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
A sheriff's deputy was making lower than what a St. Pete police officer or Largo police officer or other surrounding agencies were making. So a lot of them were leaving to go to surrounding, municipalities. And so it was hard for the sheriff to keep his deputies. And so it was important that we gave them pay raises last year, and I was supportive of the budget, and I make no apologies for that. But also, we were dealing with inflation like everybody else was, unfunded mandates from Tallahassee. In a previous life, I probably served in the legislature, and so I'm not going to complain about the unfunded mandates because I used to do the same thing when I was up there.
Right.
But it's something that local government, has to deal with, and we have to tighten the bootstraps.
What's an example of an unfunded mandate?
Just, different, when they pass a bill and they say, the cost of this bill will go to the county government. And so last year, there was more than $20 million of those.
Wow.
And that just goes to the county, and we can't do anything.
You got to figure it out.
Yeah, but figure it out. And Tallahassee has billions and billions of dollars in reserves, which is great for our state. And, it's easy for the legislature to pass something and just say, hey, counties, you figure this out.
Right.
And, that's something that I used to do all the time. So I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
When the, this legislature does it. It's just something that we have to figure out. And also rising retirement costs, with FRS and things like that.
FRS?
Florida retirement system.
Okay.
For county employees, for the sheriff's office. The sheriff is the largest portion of the budget. And in Pinellas County, we also fund the jail. So that takes a large portion of our budget. And so there are things that, we have to take care of.
Yeah.
And, I'm more confident that that this year's budget will be different. Last year I proposed cutting the parks budget, the library budget, and the communications budget. Because I believe that, as commissioners, we're the ones that should be dictating, where those cuts are, and not the county administrator who's not elected.
Right.
My colleagues wanted to have the administrator make those cuts, and he said, if that's what you want, it's going to be across the board, and if it's across the board, I'm going to ask the sheriff to cut his, budget that's going to be increased.
Wow.
Well, it would have been impossible to do that without impacting the pay raises.
Right.
And so I was not in favor of that. I wanted to have more direct cuts, that we would have, had control over, because we're the ones that are accountable to the voters, not
Exactly.
Barry Burton, who's our administrator, and Barry's doing a great job. And I have no complaints with what he's doing, but he's not the one that is accountable to the voters. We are.
Right.
Barry works for us at our direction.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If you just joined us, folks, we're talking with Commissioner Chris Latvala, Pinellas County Board of Commissioners here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes, and we're talking about the local things that impact Pinellas County here. Beaches has to come up as a topic here. The beaches and some of the storms that we saw and the replenishment efforts. What's new over there with tourism and the beaches?
Yeah, so we continue to break records. If we give the raised $300 million of the bed tax money, I'm concerned that that may hamper our ability to, when it comes to beach nourishment. We continue to battle with the Army Corps of Engineers. I believe that it's their responsibility to do those beach nourishments that they have done over the past decades. They disagree, and they believe that the homeowners along the beaches should have to sign waivers to provide easements, and we're never going to have 100% of those property owners sign. It's just an impossibility. And so, at some point, the county may have to start footing the bill for that. And
well, let me pause there just for a second. What changed over these decades? How can they justify trying to change? They're trying to change the funding, and it's based on a lease, right?
And it's basically their interpretation. And what we believe is that the Corps is not following their own policy.
Okay.
And they had, and it's the Army that's in charge of it. The Army is, the Secretary of the Army is used to blowing things and people up, not, providing sand. So it's hard for, our delegation in Washington to get through to them, and Congresswoman Luna is doing an amazing job on our behalf. When Bill Young was alive, our iconic congressman, he was a budget chairman, and he was on the Appropriations Committee, and one of the things that he was in charge of was the defense budget. Well, during that time, we would always get beach nourishment because they understood that if we didn't give Congressman Young his sand, that it may hamper other parts of the defense budget because he had that kind of power. Well, that takes decades of leadership. And so the people in Congress that came after him, whether it was Jolly or Christ, they didn't have that same kind of leadership. Right. And now Luna, in her first term has really taken the mantle, and she's filing bills in Washington. And one thing that we have noticed is that Florida is not alone. Pinellas County is not alone. There are 11 counties in Florida that are in the same predicament. But there are other states along the Gulf Coast that are in the same predicament as well. And some of the states, frankly, are red states.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you feel it's a sense of blue versus red?
One of the things that I've asked is, is a lawsuit a viable option? And if we sue, do we sue the Army? Do we sue Biden's administration?
Right.
Because the Army is the Army Corps just kind of is out there. They don't really answer to anybody. I guess they sort of answer to the president. But we've had people talk directly to President Biden. We've had people talk to his administration. But it becomes sand is not just there for tourists. That is a very important thing, but it's also there for the safety.
Right.
When the storm comes, and it's a buffer between water and, people.
Yep.
And there's important infrastructure that's underneath the ground in Gulf Boulevard and other places that if those places get flooded and it's going to have devastating impacts, to all of Pinellas County. And so it's important that we have sand there. And one of their policies is that they don't make a decision that will put residents' safety at risk. Well,
Right.
they're currently doing that.
Right, that's important. Commissioner Chris Latvala here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to take a quick break and talk a little bit more about local events, things happening here in Pinellas County, and kind of the back office side of that. Affordable housing coming up, workforce housing, and more around that as well. And insurance is a big topic as well coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online, connect with us. We do have the podcasts out there. Just search Consumer Quarterback Show on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. We'll be right back. More with Commissioner Chris Latvala on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
I want to give a special thanks to Satellite Phone Store. They just hooked me up with this beautiful satellite phone, and it's a gorgeous phone. It's a great device. It's a safety device as well. Think about it. If you're out on the boat 40, 50 miles out, maybe you're going hunting or you're going hiking in the woods somewhere, you run out of cell phone service, or who knows, maybe a possible terrorist attack. It's not like our politicians aren't entrenched in all this stuff going on overseas, all over the place, all over the world. Could be a terrorist attack. They could attack the power grid. They could attack the cell phones. Who knows what they're going to attack next. Sat123.com/REQB. Sat for satellite, sat123.com/REQB, like real estate quarterback.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back. Consumer Quarterback Show. We got Commissioner Chris Latvala in the house, Pinellas County Commissioner. We're going to talk more with him around affordable housing and other aspects of real estate here on the show. Before we do, we always like to feature our real estate listings. We've got a beautiful property, waterfront property at 6441 4th Palm Point. This is St. Pete Beach. Beautiful property here. 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2280 square feet. Stunning views of Boca Ciega Bay right here in beautiful Tampa Bay, Pinellas County as well. And you have 75 feet of water frontage with a dock, so bring your boat, bring your jet skis. You got your own private dock there, boat lift, and a beautiful pool. This home has a fireplace and hurricane-rated windows as well. 6441 4th Palm Point, St. Pete Beach. And you can see all of our listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Check out PlatinumCoastalElite.com. All right, Commissioner Latvala in the house here, talking about affordable housing, workforce housing. That's one of the biggest topics that I face on a daily with my real estate business and talking with folks out there. What do you see happening in that space?
Well, unfortunately, like everything else, the price of affordable housing continues to rise. And, there's been a lot of focus on the 80 to 120% area. The 60% is kind of the crisis area. But one thing that, I have noticed that is encouraging is some projects that are geared specifically towards more of the workforce housing and the essential employees. And I don't like really using the essential employees because every employee is essential to the business that they work at. But the teachers, firefighters, the first responders, the nurses, the people that really need to live in the community where they're working.
Right.
And some of those projects that are starting to pop up. And hopefully that will continue because those folks need to live near where they work, and they're more and more getting priced out of the market.
Yeah,
particularly in Pinellas.
Yeah, big time. We saw that, over the years too. I mean, we're down. I think it was Bradenton, Sarasota was one of the worst in the countries years ago, some years ago. But yeah, but the makes sense. The paramedics need to be close to the fire guys. Men need to be close to their stations, and so affordable housing.
And one thing that we've noticed in Pinellas is more habitat homes that are going to this population.
Okay.
Which is good. And Mike Sutton at Habitat and Pinellas Pasco, they've built 850 houses, and they're on pace to build between 80 and to 100 this year. And more of those are going to the firefighters, the cops, government type employees.
That's
too.
Awesome.
That you don't really think about. Those are the type of people that really need affordable housing because they're getting priced out of the market.
Yeah, getting priced out. I remember when I first started my show, I teamed up a lot with Warwick Dunn, and we did some videos with him and trying to gain more exposure. But, awesome former NFL player that has been on the show, and he's does a lot of those Habitat for Humanity homes with Mike Sutton and his team. So, yeah, that's a really awesome thing that's happening here in Tampa Bay. What about, are you seeing any kind of initiatives towards like updating spaces, looking at commercial buildings, for example, that a lot of people are working from home now? You have that flex space, workspace. Are we seeing any of that?
There has been some talk about tiny homes and doing more of the tiny home space. From what I've heard, converting commercial spaces to residential is pretty expensive. Because there's ideas to convert, malls into residential spaces. And from what I've heard, that's pretty expensive.
Yeah, the plumbing, especially the plumbing and things like that. Yeah. What about insurance? What's going on with the insurance space?
There's been bills the past couple of years in Tallahassee. And, it's, an issue that is still going to be around. And it, unfortunately, it takes time for those pieces of legislation and those laws to really take effect and to see the results of them.
Right.
We live in paradise. Sometimes there's an unfortunate cost to that, and insurance is one of those. But hopefully that it will get reined in, and we will also see more and more companies come here and stay here, and we can all do a rain dance in May to hope that there's not a hurricane. Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's the big deal. If it's draining the funds, then that's a challenge. Final thoughts. Back to you, Chris.
No, I mean, as I've said previous, baseball is a big issue, but people come to Pinellas for our beaches. And one thing that I didn't mention is that with our TDC funds, currently 60% go to advertising, 40% go to projects, and I've been talking for over a year that needs to be changed and spend more money to projects and less money to advertising, because people know that we're in paradise.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think you'll see more talk about changing that formula.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, you don't have to advertise as much to get people here. They already know to come here.
Right.
In other words, right? Yeah, they'll make that swing. Maybe go see Mickey Mouse over there, and then come over this way.
And we do a lot of advertising in Orlando, especially to international people, international visitors that are in Orlando.
Yeah.
And some of our biggest places that we have visitors are from Orlando.
Yeah. Yep. How do you want people to connect with you,
Sure.
Chris?
My office number is 727-464-3278, and my email is clatvala@pinellas.gov.
One more time.
clatvala@pinellas.gov.
All right, Chris Latvala, thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me.
My pleasure. All right, taking a quick break. We're going to come back with Pinellas County property appraiser Mike Twitty in the house. Mike Twitty, returning guest as well on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online. We'd love to connect at Brandon Rhymes 1 at CQB Show, and search Consumer Quarterback Show on your podcast app. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to My Daddy's Show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify.